From the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I grew up in Richfield, Minnesota. My family used to farm right where the airport is at today. In 1958, I entered the high school seminary in Carthage, Missouri. After 12 years of study, in 1970, I was ordained a priest. September 18th, 1997, I went to see the doctor, kind of the usual yearly physical. And as he was looking at the blood counts, all of a sudden, I noticed kind of a frown on his face. And I said, "Is there something wrong?" And he said, "I think you may have a difficulty with your blood."
I remember in 1997 when Jim was first diagnosed with polycythemia vera.
I said, "What in the world is that?" I had never heard the term before. And he said, it's a cancer of the blood. Cancer is like a death sentence. You know, most people I've known who've had cancer usually don't survive it. And my second question was, what is the prognosis? And he said, "You have 10 years to live."
Jim is never one to overstate things. So he tended, I think, to downplay the seriousness of this. There is something very sobering about that, even if 10 years at that moment might seem like a long time.
But then I got back on an even keel, took the medication, went in to see him regularly. Things went smoothly for 15 years. I really put the whole disorder out of my mind. I try to live each day as fully as I can. I try to be grateful. I try to be positive. I've seen it in the lives of other people I've ministered to, people who've been sick and down and out, recovering from surgery. Those with the positive attitude, they just seem to get better a lot quicker.
December 2015, that famous year, 2015.
I remember distinctly, we went out for dinner one night, and he said to me, "I just am not feeling well." Now, for Jim to ever admit that is huge.
He and I were all set to give a day of reflection, a day of prayer for a group of participants coming in. There may be about 20, 25 people. I saw him the day before. He looked like a totally different person than the day before. He said, "I don't think I can do this. I'm really sick. I have to go to the hospital."
The hematologist said, this old medication, you've been on it for 15 years. It's done a good job, but now it's served its purpose. And he said, the good news is we have something that can help you. It's a rather new medication. And he gave me a free 2-week sample of it.
He said to me, in a phone call, "You can't believe what a difference this is already making." He said, I can't believe that this is happening."
Whatever those few sample meds were, he was back to his normal self.
The good news was short-lived. He said, "I just found out that out of pocket, without any help at all, this medication costs something like $4,000 a month."
I think I went into the first depression of my life because I knew that was impossible for me.
He said, and I know, I can't justify that. There's only so many bake sales and so many fundraisers one can have.
Why does this have to be? Something works, but I can't afford it.
It's kind of like giving the reward and then saying, "Oops, we really didn't mean for you to have that."
I remember spending time with my brother, and we would drive by a neighbor's farm, and I would say to myself, I wonder if I'm going to be here next year to see the same site, to view the old family farm.
This really could mean the end.
But when I was told there was a website I could go to, that started a little spark of hope within me. I had called Good Days. I don't know who that woman was at Good Days, but that woman had a voice like the angel of God, kind, compassionate. When you're really down, it's the kind of voice you need to hear. And that just gave me a sense of hope. It really lifted me up. And then 2 days later, they got back and said, "You've been fully approved to have your medication covered by Good Days."
Good Days. It came in the form of really providing that financial help, big time celebration, relief, gratitude. It was a real blessing.
He's back to his normal self, full of zest and zeal. And, I often wonder, does he ever get tired? But he wouldn't have that energy if it wasn't for that medication.
The retreat center, basically, we serve about 7,000 people a year. We try to open our doors to everybody, especially groups that are poor and needy. We never turn away a group or a person because of lack of finances. I really resonate with what Good Days does because essentially it's much the same thing we're doing here on a daily basis. In 1997, I was told I had 10 years to live, and currently I'm in my 21st year of life, so I far exceeded that original prognosis. For me, to know that an organization like Good Days exists is really uplifting, it's encouraging. Without it, I would probably not be alive.